we read about motivation, learning, memory, intelligence, strategy management, and personality. First, motivation. The motivation is goal setting theory, is derived from goal setting theory. It is hypothetical. So there are several motives which are biological and acquired motives. The biological motives further divide in hunger, thirst, sleep, and sex. These are some compulsory, and sex is non-compulsory motive. And then acquired motive, in which we have psychological motives and psychosocial motives and psychological motives. Need for achievement are three type. Need motivation in this are three type: need for achievement, innate; need for affiliation; and need for power. And third type, in which intrinsic and extrinsic motivation we have learned about. And there is a motivation cycle which describes that there is a cycle of need, drive, and oppose and achievement, then after decrease in the arousal, and thereafter need. So it is a circle. Then we have assessment of motivation, in which we read about projectile test, in which there are two type of test. First is thematic apprehension test, and second is Roche in block test. Thereafter, the questionnaire methods, inventory methods, and situational test and observer method are also there. Thereafter, we have learned about learning. In learning, there is the change in behavior, and relatively permanent. The change in behavior by practice or experience, and the learning is relatively permanent, and the change in behavior is relatively permanent. Thereafter, we have types of learning, in which there are four types of learning: classical conditioning, operant conditioning, operational observational learning, and cognitive learning. In operant conditioning, we have the several type, which are positive reinforcement, means given prize; negative enforcement, means to remove or to like a cold and kumble, in which the where if there is cold, so the child is learned to how to use kumble. And there is punishment and omission training. Thereafter, observational learning and cognitive learning, in which the insight learning means sudden. This is come from the sudden ideas, and latent learning. Then after, we have learned about instant learning, in which Kohler have said about the sudden solutions come across the mind. And then latent learning, in which Tolman stated that there is a cognitive and a spatial map is being set up in your mind. There are learning styles which are uh, perpetual mobility, means sense organs and information processing and personality pattern. Relational style means there are two styles in learning: relational style, which have human content and concrete ideas, and analytical style, which have inanimate and abstract ideas. Thereafter, characteristics of learning, in which we have the character like change in behavior, practice and experience, and relatively it is relatively permanent. Then we come to memory. So the memory is active mental process, is basis of cognitive activities. There are stages of memory which are as follows. So, first encoding, then after when encoding we pay attention, then it go to storage, and third is the retrieval phase. So there is a situation of memory failure also, and what to do for improving memory is as that, for revision and organize the facts and relating to exist already stored information. Then after types of memory, remember the stage of memory contain the encoding, storage and retrieval. But type of memory contain the what is the type of memory, like sensory memory and STM and LTM. Then sensory memory is further divided into the iconic, means what we have seen, and echoic, what we have here. Then short-term memory is further divided into the means we have we say short-term memory as the working memory, and rehearsal or revision is the key to the establishment of short-term and long-term memories. So the rehearsal is of two type. One, maintenance rehearsal, in which we have rote learning and repetition without understanding, and their second type is elaborative rehearsal. So understanding meaning, and it is deep, and understanding dimension and various dimension of it. Then we come across the long term memory. So the long term memory is divided into two part: declarative, means verbal, which can describe, and non declarative memory, which is procedural memory. You cannot describe, but you can do that, like driving car and many much thing. The declarative memories is further divided into two types. These are the episodic memory, which is based on life event, biographic details, prone to it is prone to forgetting, and it is emotional in nature. And there is semantic memory, which is based on general knowledge, concept, fact, rule, and it is non-emotional nature. So then we have the concept of this information processing model, means stage model, in which we learn about the information processing, how the information is processing. Basically, firstly, the sensory memory is is observe the thing. Then if we pay the attention, then it's convert to short term memory. And after that, if this is organized and rehearsed, then it came to long term memory. So this is the type of things happen over there. Then serial position curve is they contain the primacy and recency effect, means in a list we have it, if there are a list of 20 20 the things 20, there is a 20 things. So the first things we have remember longer, it is known as primary effect, and recency effect is the last one we have remember longer, it is recency effect. Then after we learn about cause of forgetting, it is six type: encoding failure, and forgetting due to trace decay, means if you don't use the facts, or if you the biological process of decaying of the cells. Then forgetting due to interference, divided into two type, and first one is proactive interference, in which the previously new learn things is hinders the recall of previous one, and retrospective, the previous one thing hinders the recall of the later. Then after we have forgetting due to retrieval failure, because if we don't revise, then we have to forget. And then forgetting due to reconstruction, it is given by Bartlett, and then after repressed memory or motivated voting. This Sigmund Freud stated that the the thing which are painful are forgotten and go to our unconscious mind. Then after we have the intelligence chapter, and in which we have we call the intelligence, how we define it is the ability to learn, ability to understand, ability to deal the life situation effectively. It is adaptability and cognitive ability, mental process, and it is based on abstract thinking. Wechsler give the global capacity as intelligence. The knowledge, skill, understand are also the best link with intelligence. So, assessment of cognitive intelligence. How we assess the cognitive intelligence? So, there is intelligence quotient IQ. It is given by Alfred Binet, and Simon and Wechsler are prominent scientists who taught about the intelligence question. Then cognitive intelligence. This is the information processing and academic talents. The Sternberg is famous cognitive psychologist who give induction and deduction. The induction is when we go specific to general. This is induction, and when we go general to specific, this is deduction. Then after the emotional intelligence, the intelligence quotient, the Salowi Mayer and Daniel Goleman are prominent psychologists who deal with the emotional intelligence. Then after we have the emotional intelligence, in which we learn about uh, EQ. The Salowi Mayer and Daniel Goleman are prominent, and the personal component are as follows. It is self awareness, self management, self motivation, and self esteem. Then interpersonal component contain the social awareness, social management, social motivation, and empathy. Then after cultural intelligence, which is CQ, Ang Wan Dine and Livemore focus on culture intelligence, which is there are four models. CQ drive means motivation, CQ knowledge means cognition, CQ strategy means metacognition, means it is related to global kind of thing, and CQ action, which is behavior. And then spiritual intelligence is also called SQ. The Dana John and Ian Marshall are prominent for this, and uh, spiritual intelligence is the socially focus on the socially relevance purposes in life, understanding self, what I am, high degree of conscience, compassion, and commitment to human values. Then we learn about intelligence in Indian constants, which is it is buddhi. A Vyazgi tell about the developed country should compete among developed ones in the competition of the intelligence, and non-developed should be in non-developed. And in Indian constant, the culture and intelligence make combinedly make buddhi. And then after we have learned about stress and its management, and it is why the stress happen. It is in search of resources. Stress is a state of mind. It is by the poor time management, because of high aspiration, overloadedness. The source of stress are as follows. The first one is traumatic event, PTSD, and extreme events. Second type of source are life event, means marriage, divorce, accident, illness, death, change in job, and financial matter. The third one as small stress, daily life hassle, commuting, argument, wasted time, childcare, and school. Then after type of stress, there are several type of stress in which environmental physical stress like earthquake, sunlight, pollution, cold, climate change, heat and noise. Then after social stress, we can face the social stress by tough mindset. Then psychological stress, conflict, frustration and pressure. Then after we have effect of stress, in which we classify in the effects are as follows: psychological effects means medulla, cortex, adrenal, cortisol, sympathetic, NS, and digestive system related. The effect are over there. Then also psychological function is misfunctioning. Then health effects, cognitive effect like poor decision making, reduced concentration, and memory loss. And then after behavioral loss, eating, sleeping, and substance abuse and withdrawal, and important or the timetable of the life is rushed. Then we have emotional effect like anxiety, depression, and irritability. Then after the some state is needed, it is good for our work and efficiency. It is known as dis u stress, and the dis stress is the negative aspect of the stress. The Bjerk's-Dobson law is stated about the stress and the performance. If stress is more, then the performance is less. But if stress is less, also the performance is less, because a minimum amount of the stress is needed for our performance. Then we read about the burnout, the physical exhaustion, and psychological exhaustion combinedly. Then we have Hans-Lely General Adaptation Syndrome (GAS), in which we have the three stages: the alarm stage, the resistance stage is and the execution exhaust stage. Then after stress manage, what to do for to manage the stress? We can take the biofeedbacks, relaxation techniques, creative visualizations, and cognitive behavior techniques like CBT, thought process and behavior, and replace negative thoughts with positive. And when the thing is too busy in work, so there is no stress. Then after promotion of positive well-being is needed for health, mental and spiritual development. Then after coping with stress, how to we coping the stress? The Endler and Parker give three coping mechanisms, which are as follows: task orientation strategy, emotional oriented strategy, and avoidance oriented strategy. Then after we have Lazar and Folkman, two coping means the problem focused coping and emotion focused coping. These are the coping. Then we have the personality chapter. We have learned about the personality is unique, biological and psyche. It is combinedly of body and mind, and physique and temperament. It is based on the environment factor. Daniel Goleman described it is as dynamic organization, physical system, and adjust with environment. So the approach to study personality are this one. So endographic approach, Daniel Olport, Jordan Olport. It is study of individual, and nomothetic approach, which is given by Smigmund Pound. Type and approach threat. It is based on the several the Shilgun, the characteristic of by which we identify a group of individual. The type approach is also the bodily characteristic and temperament. We have Hippocrates divide them in four fluid: sanguine, phlegmatic, melancholic, and choleric. So, clerical are obese, and melancholic have yellow bile, and phlegmatic have black bile, and sanguine have blood. Oh, so they are active. Melancholic are inactive. In Charaksaita, we talk about three food which are Vat, Pitta, and Kapha. If Vat is this balance the Satgun, Rajgun, and Tamagun. Satgun is truth, Rajgun is achievement oriented, and Tamgun leading to vast situations. Then Rostan divide them in cerebral means wise person, muscular athletic, digestive means obese, respiratory in this column. Voila divide them in microsplannic, normosplannic, and macrosplannic. Macrosplannic are tiny and obese. Normosplannic are muscular and bodybuilder, and microsplannic are thin and weak. Then after customer divide them in physic, aesthetic, and diaplastic. And Sheldon divide them in somatic type theory, endomorphic, mesomorphic, and ectomorphic in this theory. Then sociological characteristics we divide them in as follows. Jung divided them in introvert and extrovert, and Friedman and Roseman divide them in type 1 and type B. Type 1 are achievement oriented, but they face the cerebral disease, and type B not. So, the trait approach of building block of personality. So, we have the Alford trait theory, which are cardinal, center, and secondary traits. Cultural personality factor, source traits are 16, and there are the surface traits. He prepared a 16 PF questionnaire for identifying the personality. Then Eysenck theory, emotional stability and neuroticism, extrovert and introversion is described about the we he in Isaac is drawing a map like that. So I want to show you. So he drew a map described that there is a extrovert, and there is introvert, and there is neutral, and there is stable. So he divide if there is a personal he point out here, then it is extrovert and stable, and here it is neutral and introvert. So this is type of the thing are there. So then after we have the big five model of personality by Paul Costa and Robert McRae, which describe about openness, consciousness, extroversion, and agreeableness and neuroticism. It is acronym by Ocean. Then after we have determinants of personality, which are like that. So this is biological factor like genetic and hormone, and environmental factor like social, culture, and economic factor. Then after we have assessment of personality by following test like self-report measures like MMPI, ISAC personality questionnaire, and 16 PF questionnaires. And then projectile model techniques are as that TET, thematic approximation test, Roscha inclusion test, and sentence completion test. Then after we have behavioral analysis also, in which we have behavioral letting, nomination, and situational test. So it is for your whole the behavior part of your RS mains exam, which I provide you in a mind map kind of thing. This is cover up to 15 mark out of 20 mark you get from here. So thank you and Jai Hind.